This podcast contains material that is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all listeners. Enjoy.
I don't want to get on the bandwagon. I'll burn that wagon down and join the band. Traveling troubadours, terrorizing street corners just to try to get some supper in our hands. Now I waited all my life to get this off my chest, scream bloody murder until someone understands that it ain't about the money, the drugs, or the women. I make this noise just because I can. And we'll all join in to that original sin. So let's get rowdy and reckless. Let's get rowdy and reckless. Let's get rowdy and reckless. Just for the hell of it. Just for the hell of it.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Old Man Strength, a podcast of the Tailgate Society and brought to you by Deadeye Barbecue Sauce, the best damn barbecue sauce in the known universe. Find them on the web at deadeyebbq.com. You can find us at thetailgatesociety.com. I am Tim Johnson, joined as always by Chris Shipley. Chris, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. Well, not only am I joined by Chris this evening, but we have some special guests this evening. Chris, I'll go ahead and let you introduce our guests.
We have two Cyclone legends, former football players. George Conditt III, played in the early 90s under Jim Walton. And big play Brent Curvey joining us on the podcast tonight. We're super excited to have you guys. Like we talked a little bit before, Iowa State's in an unprecedented season this year, and we just thought it would be great to bring on a couple of old men like us that, well, Brent, you're not old. You're still young. But,
don't tell my body that.
We just thought we'd reminisce a little bit about some of the old times and what you guys are thinking about how the season's going this year, and let's just shoot the shit and have a good time. And George, I'm assuming you're drinking some kind of whiskey.
I've got the Knob Creek sitting here, ready to go.
Oh,
All right.
Fantastic.
I like it.
It wouldn't be a Tailgate Society podcast if there wasn't some sort of alcohol being consumed at some point.
It's
We get
only
loosened
right.
up around here.
Oh yeah.
Well, again, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Chris and I have been geeking out all week in anticipation of this. You know, we were kind of talking a little bit before we started. We'll kind of get into a little bit about what you guys see from your perspective, having been a part of this Iowa State program through, you know, previous coaches, previous kind of athletic administrations and all of that. But just seeing what's going on right now for, you know, someone like myself who, you know, cut his teeth as a fan, you know, during the Kreiner years all the way to now, this is just absolutely, you know, an historic season for sure. Man, how fun was last week's game?
Oh, fantastic.
Man, I think I woke my wife up from her nap. Yelling at I was just too excited. Got pissed off a couple times, but I know I yelled, and my mom ran upstairs looking like something happened. But, like, you know, you get excited to see stuff like this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's funny. My daughter was asleep too, Brent, and I was like, she slept through the whole effing thing. How do you sleep through that? It's like
They don't have
But,
it in them yet, man. That's for us to do. We got to watch it for everybody in the house. That's all right.
That's right. That's right.
We cuss when the bad stuff happens. We yell in excitement when the good stuff happens. So they kind of draw a conclusion from there.
Well, I will tell you that 2 years ago, when we were going down to that Texas game, I was in Minneapolis, believe it or not, Tim. My boys' birthday, they wanted to go to Mall of America. So I'm walking through Mall of America trying to find some place to watch this game. And I found this sports bar in there, and they're like, oh, yeah, we got it. Because, you know, it was on the Longhorn Network. You know, nobody has that. And I was like, are you sure? Because I don't, you know, oh, yeah, we got the Iowa game. No. It's not the Iowa game. It's the Iowa State game. He's like, oh yeah, we got it. So we get seated and whatever else, and I can see this manager over there. He's trying to get the game coming up, and he keeps getting an error message. He can't get it logged in. So I walked over to him and I said, "Can I just see your keyboard for a second?" And I logged in with my own ESPN account and popped up the game and watched it and was in misery for 3 hours while we laid an egg. And I was so pissed I didn't even bother to go sign out of my account over there. So they're probably still using my Longhorn Network access up there. That sports bar. I was so pissed.
There's no doubt about it. Just go in there and change it, man. You'll knock them out. Get your password
That's
back.
right. Well, if I remember right, I think that might be 2 services ago. I may have already screwed him on that deal, and I got rid of DirecTV. So that might have been my DirecTV access. What do you guys think is unique about John Heacock's scheme and what's different? Do you really think that's what's going on there? Because to me, it seems like with the 3, and again, this coming from a dude that I couldn't run a lap, let alone play football. So, but a 3-man front, you would think that they would line up and run that down. And so, just give me an idea of what you guys think of that.
I think it's a combination of things. It's his scheme plus the talent he has in those positions. Mm-hmm. If he didn't have guys that could get pressure up front, then it would fall apart in an instant. You see what I'm saying? I think the type of linebackers he has, the cover guys he has in the secondary, they all marry together perfect, and that's why you're able to run that defense. If you weren't able to get a Rose or a Bailey, any of those guys playing the front line, if you didn't have those guys there and they would just say less than what we currently have, you'd have an issue. You'd have a real big issue.
I agree. I think it's got a lot to do with the personnel. He's went out and, I guess coming from when I played, we were 4-3. So for them to completely restructure the defense, they went out and sought out certain guys, and they picked those guys to a T. They got the Orion Vance to come in, and he can line up down. He can put his hand in the dirt if necessary, but he can cover a guy too if he needs to, and he can fill a gap. So, he's done a hell of a job just kind of filling in those spots. And you even look at the 2 deep guys, they all fit that same mold. And that's why you don't see much of a drop-off, and it just, it terrorizes teams because it's hard to, we'll only rush 3 and we'll still get some pressure, but now you got to pick us apart. We got 8 guys sitting back here waiting. So the way he's setting things up, man, it's, it's throwing everybody for a loop. It kind of shows it every week. I love to see it because it's totally different from when I played. We did variations of it, but we didn't have the guys that they have. So
I was going to say, is there, if you're a player like Mike Rose and that you've got someone like Latrell Bankston getting pressure on the quarterback, or you've got, Jaquan Bailey, come on, it's a 3-3-5 defense, and we now have a new sacks leader for Iowa State record. That's kind of incredible. Is that because you have someone like where they can trust each other and understand they can get more aggressive in certain spots because they feel a good confidence in their teammates?
I think that's a big part of it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, that I think like when you're coaching, you're always telling your linebackers their job is to make the defensive line right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think with our linebackers, we do a very good job of that. We're where we're supposed to. Most times, we're where we're supposed to be.
Sure.
The 2 most important things on defense is alignment and assignment. And if you can get those right, you at least got a fighting chance. So I think a lot of that is that they make the defensive line right, and they're filling their gaps and their fits when they come up.
100%.
It's got a lot to do with this defense. You think you guys will feast in this defense?
I don't know.
Would you do well in this defense?
I don't know if I could. Does that mean I'd probably have to play nose, and I don't really like all that double team stuff, but I don't know.
That's a lot of, I'm with you on that. We came out the 4-3 system, so that might be a little rough on us,
100%.
I'm used to having a either a 3 technique or 1 tackle to the inside of me. You know,
Yeah.
I think I would need that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate double teams. So, you know, this defense, I mean, that's why I think what Latrell did last week was that much crazier because he got all his sacks off of double teams. He was splitting double teams and still making pressure. So, I mean, the kid's a hell of a player, man. I mean, that's tough to do, you know. So it's already hard to beat somebody one-on-one, but he was getting through 2 of them real quick and made some big-time plays.
But that goes back to what we were talking about with the scheme. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of these guys have 3 defensive touchdowns under their belt, though, Brent? I feel like you might have some bragging rights on some of these guys.
That might be the only thing I got. They knocking me out the record books everywhere else. But, you know, I think I still got that. Let's see, Klein had more touchdowns. Rose might be up there, though. I feel like Rose is pretty close.
I think Rose might have 2.
That I don't know what they called that thing. If they called that a fumble recovery, technically that touchdown he had against Kansas State that completely switched the game for us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, last year was huge. He's one of those guys. I don't know that he's getting enough national press in enough of the conversation for the way that he plays, and I don't know if that's just a lack of respect for Iowa State and, you know, the middle of the country and all of that, or
no, that's what it is. That's what it is, man. Because if you look at his numbers compared to everybody else that they had on that list, it's a no-brainer. You know, for him to be left off that list, you know, the Buckets list, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. They just still don't have no respect for us, man.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, it's disappointing, but at the end of the day, it's like they'll pass on a guy like Mike Rose to get a kid that doesn't play at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, just because of the school that they go to. Because they felt like they were good enough to get recruited, but they didn't play. Don't put up any numbers. This kid is out here putting up numbers nationally, but still gets no recognition. It kind of pisses you off. I mean, they're working and all that hard work is going for that.
Yeah, all this non-press they're getting, I think Campbell's using a little bit of that too. I think those you know, Kirk Herbstreit and those guys out there, you know, telling us we're going to lose to Texas, and I guess there was some rumblings today that Reese Davis was talking about how Texas let it go and we didn't, and Iowa State didn't win it or whatever. Right. I mean, that stuff for me, they can keep talking that shit. They can keep talking that stuff because I think that's fuel for those guys, and I think they're out to prove something.
Yeah, he's definitely using that underdog mentality, and I don't blame him because it's, you know, I mean, we all we got. It looks like that's the mentality in there, and they don't really care about everybody else. So I love it. Keep feeding it to them there.
Stay the hunter. Stay the hunter, man. Stay the hunter.
It's amazing to me the number of games that we've won that I hear that we didn't win, the other team lost.
Blows your mind, doesn't it?
It's not that Iowa State was good. It's not that Iowa State so much won that, but I mean we heard that with Oklahoma a couple years ago. We've heard that with Texas the past couple years, where it's always, no, Iowa State didn't win. Just, you know, well, right. No, I mean they even if you want to say Texas, you know, 1 or 2 plays, you know, they pissed down their leg. The fact that Iowa State was there to even capitalize it in the first place speaks volumes, especially because, you know, I could remember plenty of years where we weren't even in a position to capitalize on mistakes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been a long road. It's been a long road.
Oh, man, has it?
But these kids are showing up, man, and I'm kind of hoping we keep knocking teams off and start knocking on these other doors and knocking other teams off in other conferences, then we might finally get some recognition. It's just a matter of, you know, getting that invite and having the door cracked open for us.
Yeah, I think so too. And they seem to forget, you know, we did beat Oklahoma in 2017, but we had them on the ropes last year too.
Mm-hmm.
1 2-point conversion and they lose again. And they're on a, you know, so they seem to forget that and should have won that game. They should have won that game.
They would have said that Oklahoma lost the game anyway, and we didn't win. So, you know, it's all good.
Right. Hey, got to keep going out there and taking what we want. That's all. That's the only way it's going to happen. Got to keep going out there and just taking it.
Yeah. George, you talk about culture and so on. You played for Jim Walden. What was that like? What was playing for Jim Walden like?
It was fun. We had, and it's just my opinion, we just never had enough dogs in the fight. We had some dogs. We just didn't have enough. We would, we kind of run out of gas third quarter, or start of the fourth quarter. We'd have our days where, we looked like we could beat anybody, and we did. We beat Nebraska. We beat Oklahoma, at OU. But then there's times where we were beating Kansas at home by like 22 and turned around and lost to them. We can never put it all together. That was our biggest issue. Wasn't that we didn't have to fight. I'd go to war with any one of those guys that I played with. They had to fight. We just didn't have enough. That's all.
Yeah, that was the time period. I was there at the same time you were, George. So I was at a lot of your games. I sadly missed the Nebraska game. Didn't go to that one. A buddy of mine was telling me today he gave up his ticket so he could study for finals, and he was regretting it ever since. When he said he was in his dorm and he could hear the commotion of them bringing those goalposts down and tossing them down in Lake Laverne. So
yeah, buddy.
But I was listening to it on the radio. I was at home and I was super pissed I didn't go to that game. And you'd think I learned my lesson, but in 2011, I didn't go to that Oklahoma State game either, where we beat the Sooners on a Thursday night. I didn't go to that game either. So, needless to say, I don't miss a game anymore. When I got tickets, I'm going.
Yeah, especially now.
What was that like going down to Oklahoma? That was a huge deal going.
Oh man,
and beating them. I watched a little bit of the highlights tape, and I'm pretty sure I saw you. I'm pretty sure I saw you in a clip. On a pile when they had fumbled. We had gotten it. You hadn't gotten it, but you were in the pile, and I had to pause it. I was like, I finally found George. Some of these highlights I found, because you can't find a lot of that old stuff.
No, not at all. No,
you gotta pull out the old reel to reel for anything that we were in.
Man, yeah, that game was huge, man. I mean, it was like those guys. We didn't know how to quit. It was like, okay, so what? Yeah, you hit us in the mouth, you knocked us down, we pick ourselves off the canvas, and we're gonna keep coming. We had a couple of things bounce our way, turnovers, and next thing you know, Oklahoma didn't respect us, so they wasn't expecting us to come at them like that. And when we didn't fold and we kept plugging, they were the ones that got nervous. Their sphincters got a little tight,
Mm-hmm.
So, and the rest was history.
Yeah, I very distinctly remember that game. I very distinctly remember the Nebraska game. My uncle had gotten recruited by Tom Osborne, so the very first person I called the second that game was over was my uncle. He just so I could talk a little trash. But man, that one was, I was the only Iowa State fan in my school. I lived a half hour from Iowa City, and all my family was in Nebraska. So between family and all my classmates, no one seemed to give Iowa State a whole lot of respect. So man, that one will always kind of have a special place in my heart for sure. What do you think it was about that era, that style of play that allowed Iowa State to kind of really dig in on those teams, really kind of key in on a ground attack and really just contain what were, at that time, just an absolute powerhouse?
A lot of it was the fact that we had a All-American running back in Blaze Bryant. We had an All-American kick returner. Our special teams was tops in the Big Eight at that time. Whether it be our kickoff, our kick return, and our defense, even though we weren't the biggest, the strongest, we did enough to keep us in the game. And we hung our hats on our running game.
Mm-hmm.
We had to. So with Blaze back there, you better. You'd have been dumb not to hand it off to him. So
did he give himself 3 more inches of credit on his height just with that hair?
Yeah, Blaze and that California hair, boy. That was something else. He was ahead of his time, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the name Blaze, you sure know you darn right shouldn't have been slow. That's for sure.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
He was amazing to watch.
Yeah, and then, like I said, then we had those big meat eaters up front, man. On that offensive line. So it was that we had to lean on our strength. And then you got to remember back then in the Big 8, it was, people were still running option then too. So,
yeah.
You still had Nebraska running option, Colorado was running option, Oklahoma was still running option. Everybody hadn't went to the spread, and they were just starting to get to what was the offense that the 49ers was running, that West Coast offense. They were starting to switch to that, but when they got nitty gritty, man, the running game was what got it done.
Up that clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about you, Brent? What do you think? Your era. Similar question.
Give me the question again.
What was kind of the mentality and identity, I guess, that you think was core to your guys' teams?
I think we were always underdog, and I think we kind of had that mentality, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think because of our front four made our offensive line better because of that, because we were all pretty much undersized up front anyway. And so, we kind of looked at our whole line. We made them have to work a little bit harder because we knew if we went our hardest, we had the best core, we felt anyway. No matter who we stepped up against, Texas, Oklahoma, whoever, we always felt we had the better core. So we knew if we gave them, that grind, that this is what you're going to get. We talked a whole lot of shit. There was fights at practice. But we wanted them to, be ready for that. You know what I'm saying? When you go down to the Texas and to the Oklahomas, because maybe my first year, first or second year, I just remember being a young player and hearing a guy say, like, damn, we got to play Texas. Like, they were scared to kind of get out there and, like, fuck, they put their pants on one leg at a time like we do. So
that's right.
And it's Texas. So what? You know what I'm saying? So I think, kind of building from, my first year, we were like 2-10. And we moved, I think we were 6-5 the following year and whatever. But our defense is what made everybody else better. Just because we kind of took on that mentality of fuck everybody. So you're either with us or you're against us. And
I love it.
I think that kind of helped, that kind of helped our success, man, honestly. So
I love it. I will say I'm a loyal supporter of Iowa State, and I'm true loyal Sons forever true. But man, when I hear coaches say things like we shouldn't beat Texas, to me, you can think that in your head. Like, you can look at your team and think we may not be as good as them. But when you verbally express that,
it was players. It was players.
You're telling those players they ain't got it. And to me, you can't tell them that, right? You've already lost.
Yeah.
So, and I was there. Dan McCarney's first year, and I can remember just the attitude around when Jim left. He was a good guy, and he clearly could coach. He coached well at Washington State. He's a good coach, but sometimes you need a change, and you could just see a difference with Dan McCarney. Like, he looked like he was pissed off all the time, And I would imagine him coming from Iowa, he probably wanted to prove something to those guys too, don't you think? Was the Iowa game a big deal to him?
100%. Because I'm from Texas, so I was like, all this hype,
like, whatever.
Iowa game. I'm like, what the fuck? It's Iowa. Like, why is everybody so? And they were like, no, this is. You hear the other guy. This is like the Super Bowl. This is for all the bragging rights. This is. I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to mount up too. I don't know, but, Coach Mack always had a little extra that week. You know what I mean? So it'd be maybe a couple extra clip-ins or that team out east is talking this way, or they're saying that. So, I mean, Mac was a great motivator, if nothing else. So he knew how to light that fire up underneath you to make you want to play for him. And that's what I like about Coach Campbell, because you see that exact same thing coming through with him and his guys. You know what I mean? Because I know my guys, the last years of McCarney, we do whatever he said. We follow him to a dark alley, do whatever. And you can look at this team, and it's all the same way. You see those guys like, wherever Campbell's go, we're right behind them. So that's why you see a lot of that success.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you sort of answered it there, but what is it about Coach Campbell that is so unique? He's obviously somebody that, he's young, he relates well, he's well respected among his peers and his players, but what is it about his mindset or his approach to coaching that has really kind of helped bring Iowa State even, to the next level?
I think it's not all talk, because, you get around a whole lot of coaches, it's a lot of talking. They'll sell you whatever dream you want to believe, in all honesty. And again, I kind of take this back to Mac, because Coach Mac sat in my house when he offered me my scholarship and said I could start. And I was like, oh, it sounded great. But, talking to family, and they were like, God, that's bullshit. They're going to tell you what they want to tell you to make sure you come. But he gave me the opportunity to actually get out and start. So I earned my job to go and play. And I think that's what these guys are buying in Campbell. They don't see a lot of bullshit with him. He's going to sell it to you straight. If you messed up, he's going to talk to you, tell you about it. We're going to move on and move forward. And I think those guys buy into that. He's young, he's relatable, but him not blowing smoke up these kids' ass, I think is what's really pushing the success forward.
100, yep. 100%.
I've met him a couple times at Victory Day. I don't know if you guys have ever seen some of the pictures of Victory Day, where he has at the beginning of the season, he would bring in 60 special needs kids, and they're all out on the field. They all have a buddy. They score a touchdown with the offense. The band plays. The Jumbotron goes off. He personally meets every one of those kids. My boys, Josh and Jordan, have Williams syndrome, and they did it for like 4 years in a row. I remember it was before the West Virginia game 2 years ago. They were with their dad. They were with their real dad at the game, and my wife and I were in a different part of the stadium. But they were on the hillside where the team walks by. And Josh and Jordan were standing by and they were screaming to get his attention. And he turned around and he looked at him, and he walked over to him. He knew their name, remembered them, remembered who they were paired up with. And I told my wife, I said, now who does that? Like, who remembers these two random kids from a celebration that was 2 hours, that was two, and he remembered what player he had with him and whatever else. And that's the kind of guy, I think, that he takes the time to get to know people and whatever, and that makes you want to play for somebody like that who I think cares about you, right? And I'm with you, Brent. I don't think it's bullshit. I think he's truthful in what he says, and a lot of these rumors that he might leave or whatever else. Which if he does, I mean, hey, I get it. You got a family and you got to take a job, but I don't see him as the type of guy that gives a speech like is rolling around on social media here this last week of being integrity and sticking with things and whatever else, and then he's going to bail on those kids. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't.
I don't think so either. So.
I don't see the phrase "firmly entrenched" ever coming out of his mouth.
No.
So
probably not bad.
So George, let me ask you. So you played under Coach Walden. And you got to see Iowa, played in the Big Eight, kind of one style of football. You graduate, you see the Big 12 be formed, only a few years after you graduated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Coach Mack, was brought in right before that. So there's a very kind of a large culture shift. What was it like, kind of from your perspective, from what you had just had to what you were seeing that eventually Brent was going to enter kind of in that Iowa State program, now looking at it from the other side?
I started watching them, when you start stacking the wins, good things start happening.
Mm-hmm.
Recruiting gets easier. Doesn't get easy. It gets a little easier. You know, that kid that might not have looked your direction now is going, man, you know, they're doing something special over there. And like I said earlier, we always had some dogs. We never had enough. Well, when Coach Matt came in, I started seeing they start getting a lot more of those dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they started getting guys that Iowa State couldn't get before. You know, same thing like now with Campbell. You know, he's in the recruiting fight, you know, for top tier kids now every year.
Yeah.
You know, we may not get them all, but we're getting way more than what we used to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's, you know, winning changes things, man. You know, and that's a positive. You know, you can't. Everybody loves a winner. That'll never change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as long as you can keep, you know, stacking them W's, you know, and it pays to have some of the best facilities in the country. Let's get it right.
100%.
Lord knows I would have killed to practice in an indoor facility when it was, you know, 18 degrees outside in November. You know, that would have been great. You know, when you starting to kind of get uniform combinations like Oregon, where, you know, you got about 4 or 5. Hey man, that kind of turns these kids on now. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that come with winning programs, you know, and that's what I like to see. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will tell you, as two old men, Tim and I, we are the exact opposite of the majority of the older Iowa State fans. We love the black uniforms. We're all so you kids can wear whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
I don't really care. I'll buy every jersey and wear it if you're winning.
Hey, keep them coming, man.
Right?
For real.
You can wear black uniforms every week. I don't give a shit.
As long as there's a W there, that's a good look.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. What? So we moved into the Big 12 and whatever else. You guys had some pretty big games against Nebraska, each one of you. But what did you think when Nebraska left?
I thought it. Go ahead.
What's that?
Well, I've always honestly the hate I had for Nebraska ranked right up there with Iowa. So, you know, to see them gone, I was just like, you know, bye. You know, it's just like, see you later. You know, go on over there if that's what you want to do. You know, but yeah, there was no love lost for Nebraska, none. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of the bragging rights, the rivalry stuff go out the door, but I'm with you. Like shit, we'll see y'all later. Between him and Iowa, I was, I was happy to see Nebraska leave. I mean, them and Colorado, really, because Colorado didn't really have, we didn't have a ton of history with them. So we'll see y'all. Let's get somebody that wants to stay here.
Well, I mean, you do actually, speaking of Colorado, have one of the most memorable plays. Not to gush too much, but man,
oh no, we can.
Yeah, no, that what was that 66 yards?
65.
65. I mean,
you take the extra yard, you earned it.
I mean, it's all good, man.
Pulling the ball right out of the air, man. You learned your lesson from. Was it Kansas that you dove into the end zone on?
Baylor.
It was Baylor you dove into the end zone.
Okay,
yeah.
You dive all over those guys. I'm fine with that.
Listen, if social media was as crazy as it is now back then, I probably would have did something else. But I mean, we were still kind of in the old MySpace and just really getting into it. So it wouldn't have made it too far. So I wasn't too worried about it at that point. I was trying to catch my breath.
What did Coach Mack say to you when you got that flag?
He just, honestly, they all just kind of looked at me and laughed, and he was like, "Come on, babe, got to be better than that." And he patted me on my ass like, "Good shit."
Right.
They didn't really, they didn't really care,
All right, that's six on the board, baby.
Right. We got to kick it, and back then the PATs were like close anyway, so couple more yards. It was okay. You know, they got to make it look good for TV though. Like, come on, what are you doing? But hey, good shit, Curve. Good job. It's all like that. It's like you got to act like you've been there. It's like I haven't been there, Coach. So I had to get this one out.
What are you saying? That's what I do every time I get there, Coach. That's what I do.
Yeah, every single time.
I get those games mixed up. Was that the same game that they had the tornado just outside of the stadium too? Was that the same Colorado game?
Yeah, yep, it was.
So, I mean, take me through that. You got to go back in the locker room. You get all. I mean, I was at the Iowa game a couple years ago where we had 17 rain delays. So, I mean, what do you go through on that deal? Because you got to be all pumped up, ready to play, and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm going to sit here.
Yeah, man. That's the one thing I can honestly say I hate the most. I'm cool with a delay prior to getting, putting yourself mentally ready to go. But, we're like right there ready to go. And then it was boom, delay. So we were right back inside and we're just sitting there. So I'm like, fuck. So all that hype and the pump and we're ready to go. It's senior night at that. So all of that just goes out the window. And then you got to find another way because I made it through my playlist now. So all my game days, my hype music is over. So I gotta, it's like I can't replay them because it's like it's fake right now. So that was tough, to be honest with you, to get back out there and kind of get back into the flow of the game. But on the other side of the coin, they had to go through it too. So
yeah,
it's one of those things. But once we line up, I'm gonna try to punch in your mouth and see what happens.
There you go,
George.
What happened?
George, what was the worst weather game you played in?
Oh man, that's easy.
Was it the blizzard game?
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado,
I wasn't sure what year that one was. I told you. I told you I printed up a photo of you. I got it on my back. I got it over here, and it's some of those blizzard games. Don't worry, Brent. I got your photo all queued up. I'm ready to put it in the basement. This basement is insane down here. So next time, I swear to God, George, next time you're in Ames, you come down. Brent, you come over. We'll have some of Brent's food, and you guys can check out my basement and call me what a big nerd I am.
Most def.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
my wife hates it, by the way. She hates it.
Now, I forget, was Jack Trice, was that a turf field when you were playing at that time, George?
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's what I
was asking.
So blizzard
that's what I thought.
turf field.
That's
what was
I
that
thought,
like?
Yeah.
Man, like if you took a bunch of snow, threw it on your carpet in the house, and tried to play on that. Yeah, it was unforgiving, man, because you talking about turf burns. Oh my goodness, sliding across that stuff bad enough when it was warm, but when it was frozen, man, cold razor blade. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I mean, that stuff isn't anything like the turf that they have today. That field turf, right? I mean, it's completely different.
I remember the first time I came back for one of the Letterman Award days, and I stepped on the turf then, and I was looking. I'm on this thing like, this is just so nice. Like, I would have died to play it on this, man. It's times change. These guys got the best of it now. They earned it. So. But yeah, I wouldn't wish playing on that AstroTurf on nobody, man. And you would think even when you went different places, it would be better. When we played we played Minnesota my sophomore year in the Humphrey Dome, that was turf. I got the worst turf burn ever off of that field. Trying to come up under that tackle. And he rolled me down, and we both slid across that turf. And there was about 3-4 inches going off the forearm. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm thinking it's an NFL field. This is gonna be great. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
That's why they had a big elbow pads back then, huh?
Man, exactly.
For that reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's true because, with all of Brees's success this year, then you're seeing a lot of pictures of Troy from back in the day, and you forget how much the pads have evolved. just from the early 90s when you were playing, George, the early 2000s and you played, the shoulder pads alone lost probably like 3 inches across.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Easy.
they've completely changed. Yeah, for sure.
And 5 pounds, at least.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. And the mandatory knee braces we had to wear back then. If you were on O-line or D-line, you had to wear the knee braces.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
my God. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a rule at practice for us, and I hated it. Every second of it. I hated it.
Yeah. Man. Yes, indeed.
Well, so George, you had talked about one thing being kind of a good leveler for us in Iowa to be able to compete in recruiting and everything else is facilities. So since your time, you've seen a lot of facility changes. We talk about the turf. We talk about you having to practice outside of those. And, even Brent, since your time, you've seen quite a bit of facility upgrades as well. What were your guys' initial impressions of the facilities when, you came for like recruiting, or the first time you kind of stepped on there?
For me, man, even then I thought it was, pretty doggone good, but of course that was because they showed me the varsity locker room. They didn't show me where I would be my freshman year. They didn't show me that part. They showed me the leather and wood benches and had, your own little locker and your name was over it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can get used to this. And then, when we showed up that for that first practice in the summer, and they're like, oh no, son, you're on the other side. They're like, oh wow. I'm like, this is where I'm at. I'm like, oh, okay. Got me. But it just made you want to bust your butt harder to get over there with the rest of the guys, Yeah. So that's all. But yeah, it was at that time, I thought our facilities, were good. Yeah, we didn't have Nebraska facilities, because we weren't winning and bringing in money like Nebraska. Let's be real. We weren't in bowl games every year like that. But I thought we still had a pretty good thing going on. Now, granted, like I said, when Mac took over and they started winning and the money started rolling and you started seeing all this stuff come in, I'm just like, wow, so this is what the other half was living like. Okay. All right. I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest with you. What sold me was the cookies that they had at the Gateway Hotel on my recruiting trip. Let me tell you, them cookies, they was everything for me. I was like, yo, what is this? But, man, that was everything, man.
Oh, man.
But, it was so bad when, I would host recruits and try to get their cookies, too. Like, that was kind of my thing after I came to Iowa State. But I went on a couple visits, man. I went to Southern Miss and I went to Arizona. And I thought Iowa State had better facilities than those two places did. So, at that point, we didn't have a split locker room. It was everybody was all in the same spot. So,
right.
The video board was kind of small, but they made it look real big and real good when they showed your high school highlights up there. And, you sitting around all the family, you're like, oh, okay, well, this might be my next home. So,
yeah.
I thought they did, a really good job, and Coach Mack was a good talker too, man, because, he'll sell water to a well, make it look effortless, you know what I mean? So I was all for it. In all honesty, I took those other trips just for the sake of going. I wasn't,
I was hoping you'd get more cookies.
Either one of those. I just wanted to see, I wanted to see, man, those recruiting visits at 18. It was like, this was my first shot of being away from the family, and I was by myself. I was just excited for that. So it didn't matter where I went.
Well, if you listen to an earlier podcast, you'll hear about my first night on campus, and I didn't indulge in too many cookies. It was way too much beer. So my story's a little different. But I'll throw this out to Brent first. But what do you think was the worst stadium you played in maybe on the road or somewhere that you were just like, man, this is a total shithole?
Texas Tech.
Really?
They had turf, and I think when we came in on the bus, I feel like I saw a tumbleweed like on the bus, just kind of going across, and I was like, "What kind of shit is this?" So I was mentally, I was like, "This town is trash. It's so small, and this is another part of Texas I've never even heard of." But I probably had to say Texas Tech.
I love that you're a kid from Texas, and even you have this opinion of a Texas.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's like way out there. You know what I mean? So I think my parents took the drive, and it was like a 9-hour drive in Texas.
Oh, wow.
9-10-hour drive. So it's like, yeah, we don't really make it up to these parts, and I see why after seeing. I mean, it was like an old Western. Like my dad used to watch Westerns when I was growing up. And that's what it reminded me of when we kind of pulled into the city. I was like, it was already iffy heading into it. And then the field just made it worse for me because it was all turf and I hated it.
What about you, George?
I would go, it's a toss up. I would go Mizzou's old field. And if not them, Oklahoma State, because that damn wall is way too close to the sideline, brother. way too close. But no, Mizzou's turf, they had that same AstroTurf we had, but they had sand in it, man. It was horrible. It was horrible. It just, like I said, it's a toss-up between those two,
I'm surprised neither of you said Kansas, honestly.
That's what I was waiting for.
KU
it's the same stadium now as it was then, right?
Yeah.
KU wasn't that bad.
Nah, it wasn't. I think their fans were worse. And they probably had the worst fans. Just because I remember, when Berryman went to jail and came back. So I think that was like my junior year or something like that. And it was just like, I remember walking in and the fans were there and they had a sign like, "Oh, you guys need a jailbird to help you win." I was like, "Damn, they are straight to the gut." Like they didn't waste no time, didn't pull no punches, went straight forward. And I was like, "Man, they cutthroat out here." So, but
wow,
yeah, they went straight forward, man.
Yeah, I think I thought Colorado fans were the worst because every time we went to their place to play, they seemed to always have had like a major snow. So then, you get hit with ice balls and, just crazy stuff. And then they had that damn buffalo running around. I swear. He was always too damn close to our sideline, man. I did not like that, for real. That used to get on my nerves with him. So, yeah.
A doped up bull. He was doped up, I think, because they had me kind of nervous. I was with you on that with George. Like, hey, man, they kind of close. Like, what's up?
And that's too big of an animal to just running around like that, man.
And the guys trying to hang on to their hats, holding on to his straps, trying to keep up with him when he get to going. Like,
I'm good. Keep that on y'all side. Yeah, keep it on y'all sideline, man. Bring him over here.
Awesome. Well, I think this is probably a good spot to go ahead and take a little break so we can go ahead and grab a word from our sponsor, Deadeye Barbecue Sauce. Once again, please find them on the web at deadeyebbq.com. You are listening to Old Man Strength, and we will be back in 30 seconds.
Back when I started Deadeye, I knew I wanted to innovate the barbecue game. Since day one, we've offered a premium barbecue product unlike anything else on the market. Great Aunt Irene had something special tucked away on a recipe card in her cupboard, and there was no way we weren't going to do something about it. So we decided to take it one step further, introducing Deadeye Superfood Barbecue Sauce. We've got 5 new flavors: Graviola, Acerola, Pink Guava, Acai, and Dragon Fruit. They're the first of its kind, and they're packed with flavor. Find it at your local grocer today or at deadeyebbq.com.
Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that little word from our sponsor. I hope as well that you check out the other Tailgate Society podcasts and content. We have a lot of great podcasts. Matinee Baseball, We're Not That Drunk, Sports and Corks, Bitter Units, Culture Check,
Drunk Dialing,
Stuff and Things. There's a whole host of great podcasts out there, as well as a ton of great writing on the website. So please go ahead and check us out. Please download, like, rate, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Once again, this is Old Man Strength. I am Tim Johnson, joined by Chris Shipley, and we have our special guest this evening, Brent Big Play Curvey and George Conditt III, former Iowa State football player and now Iowa State's most beloved Iowa State dad. We are thrilled you guys are with us. I hope you guys don't mind us taking up a little bit of your evening, but we appreciate that you're here.
No problem.
Yeah, my man.
You know, earlier we were talking about what brought you guys to Iowa State and what sold you on it. But I was thinking today, what's something that, and it kind of dawned on me, you know, after that Texas game, a lot of social media was floating around about everybody's celebrations, like just the euphoria that some of these Cyclone fans had, and then somebody had put a capitulation video of it out there that was pretty cool of just the emotions of Cyclone fans and how excited they were. So it made me wonder, what's something that's kind of stuck with you guys about ISU that's kind of helped shape you and make you who you are now? What's made an impact on you based off of Iowa State?
But you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the people. I think that that's a big part of the reason I'm still around. You know, the fans. I guess the old song is "Loyal Songs Forever True," and I think the people that are Iowa State fans are truly that. They really are loyal to you no matter what. And I experience that often now. Seeing all these people that I interact with, they still remember, you know, my days. And, you know, I'm 10, 15 years removed almost. And to me, it's like, damn, that was a long time ago. But, you know, to them, they can spit out a memory like it's nothing. So I think for me, it's the people. I probably have the most memories, you know, with and about, because I see so many of them. A lot of the kids that I may have signed autographs with, they're still around here, and they still remember. So it's the people, man, and kind of the togetherness that the Iowa State fans have. So they'll stick with you through the rough times, because they've seen some bad times in this cardinal the goal. But, you know, those same ones that started in the beginning, they're still here now. And, you know, this is, honestly, I'm excited more so for them because they've been on a long ride, you know. So.
Yeah, I think it's the resiliency, you know, of the fan base itself. You know, like I said, they've been through bad times more than they should have had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
And so now to see, you know, just watching Twitter explode when they said, you know, we're number 9. Whew, man. You know,
yeah.
You know, I actually had to look at that for a second and go, God damn, we're number 9.
Yeah.
You know, you appreciate it, man. You know, you go, man, we've come a very long way, you know, and you're just happy to see them just, you know, and to know that they're not done. You know, it ain't over with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we still got some more history to write here in this season alone. So, you know, it's that's what I kind of take from it. I think it's the resiliency of the fan base and Iowa State itself. You know, that's kind of how that's who we are at heart. You know, we'll take a licking, we'll get back up, and we'll keep doing it. There is no quit in us. You know, so that's it.
Yeah, I remember after the Louisiana game, I remember being really upset because I was so amped up for this season and so ready. And after that game, I was so, I don't know, I had a pit in my stomach. I was sick. And I remember about a half an hour later, I went online. I was like, you know what? Still love this team. Still love everything about it. I can be disappointed and still be in absolute love with this team and this university. And that's kind of how I felt about it, was like, yeah, you know, it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay. You should at this point be mad because we didn't win that game, because we should be in a position where we can win that game. I'd much rather be pissed off because we lost a game we shouldn't have lost than be where we were X number of years ago. We were like, well, we're lucky we were even in it, you know? So I'll take that 100 times over.
Yeah,
that feeling.
That moment came from me at Oklahoma State, actually. To lose by a score to a ranked team was a game that I really kind of expected to win almost, and that was a feeling that I don't remember growing up. It was crazy that that's, you know, and I, you know, I saw some really great teams, and I saw some not so great teams, but I, you know, you both kind of touched on, you know, the culture of just Iowa State in general and Iowa State fans. You know, we've seen any number of athletic directors in the last 30 years. We've seen a number of coaches, but one thing that I've noticed, you know, Brent, I know that you've seen that Coach Mack to this day still has a lot of love for Iowa State and still shows a lot of love. I've seen recently Paul Rhodes even tweeting, you know, good, you know, well wishes to the team and things like that. So there's certainly something that kind of, it seems amazing to me that how many people that, you know, once a Cyclone, always a Cyclone, more so than a lot of people take pride in their school, but there's something special at Iowa State. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
You know, I don't know what it is. Honestly, like I said, to me, it goes right back to the people. You know what I mean? Like the fans, and the support that you get. And I think that a lot of these coaches and the guys that come through here, they experience all of that love. Because you can go a lot of other places and you don't get this type of love anywhere else. I mean, professionally either, you don't get that. But I think that, you know, it's a small town of Ames, and it's like any and everything around it that touches it supports it. And like I said, you don't really get that anywhere else. And I think those coaches that do come through here and experience it, they love it. And that's just something they can't, you know, get rid of or wash away, because those fans still follow them on Twitter and on social media, because that's just who they are. They are legit, just loyal people. You came through, you helped us. So we appreciate you for your time here. Good luck on your success going forward. So.
It's one of the reasons my son chose to come there. You know, he had his choices of place to go, but he felt like that felt more home to him. You know, that he was like, these fans are crazy. He's like, they just, you know, he showed up for a recruiting trip, and, you know, he had kids knew, you know, how many points he scored in high school, and he's like, and he hadn't even committed there yet. And he was like, wow, you know, that kind of blew him away. So, you know, and it's like you said, it's the culture, man. You know, Iowa State has promoted a great culture across, you know, just across the programs throughout the university. And, you know, it's hard to duplicate. It's hard to go somewhere else and find it, you know.
George, I know that you would have supported your son wherever he ended up or where he went, but how excited were you when he chose Iowa State?
Man, it only because we literally did not know until he made his decision that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had nailed it down between New Mexico and Iowa State. And
very similar.
Yeah.
That's a long commute.
Oh yeah, long commute. But you know, they got better weather on this side. You know, so it was a tough call, and they really I commended them, because when I say they rolled out the carpet for that kid when we touched down, boy, we got on the plane coming back, and I'll never forget, as soon as we touched down, his older brother called me like, "So Dad, what do you think?" I said, "I have no clue." I said, I don't think he knows right now, you know. So, but it all came down to, you know, he felt comfortable with the coaching staff there, and the just feel of Ames was just something that he just really liked, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I can do this," you know. So, but I was bananas when he, you know, it took me about a day or two for it to just sink in, like, He's going to Ohio State. It's like, shit, okay. Yeah. So.
Plus, I understand they have really good cookies in the recruiting process. So.
I don't know if it's changed, but I'm telling you, man, Gateway cookies, man, they'll change your life.
Oh, that's fantastic.
George, I'll bet that was kind of special for you too, to be able to take him back to campus and be on campus with him and just reminisce a lot about that kind of stuff. That was one of the things that I loved about being able to take Caitlin back to campus, and when she chose it, and we drive through where the towers were. Of course, she got a lot better dorm assignment than I did. I was stuck at the towers, clear out there, and
man,
you talk about a wind tunnel and some shitty weather, man. There's a lot of reasons why I didn't make that 8 o'clock class. But
when I saw his apartment, when they showed us where they would be staying, I'm like, oh wow, this is what you guys get now?
Yeah.
And he was just laughing the whole time because I had shown him what was left of the towers. And I was like, yeah. And now picture, like you said, picture that 8 o'clock class, and it's pitch black outside at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It's about 10 degrees outside with that wind howling, and you missed the bus, so now you got to walk down.
Yeah, now see, let's talk about the bus, because I made a comment about the bus the other day to my wife. We were driving to a football game, and I was like, right there is where I used to miss the bus. And my wife, who went to school there at the same time, I didn't know her at the time, she was like, I didn't ride the bus. And I was like, why? She's like, because the bus was for nerds. I was like, what? So I'm telling her, listen, George missed the bus too. So I'm just saying, I was just as cool as George. That's what I'm going with.
I definitely missed it. Ooh, there was some tough
also,
days,
I was really fat and I was not walking anywhere. So if I couldn't make the bus, my parents bought me a bike. That thing sat there for 2 fucking years, never moved. Wasn't riding a bike either.
And then during the off season, we had to do winter conditioning, and we had to go over to state gym because, they hadn't, our freshman year, they hadn't quite finished building, the rec center over there. So we had to go to state gym, and we were running up and down those iron stairs. Man, at 6 in the morning, it's cold because the heat wasn't on in that place. Oh God, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure State Gym has a boiler that you have to go down and hit with a large wrench for it to do anything. I mean, that thing, I graduated 20 years ago, and even I'm like, that thing felt like it was old and ancient and scary. I can't imagine.
Oh my God, yeah. It was something else, man.
I got lucky. I lived in Willow. So for those workouts, like you did, I was right next door direct.
Oh,
so we'd always roll right out. Yeah, I had it easy. I had it easy. I did miss a lot of classes though when it came to that February when we came back. No.
Oh, yeah.
My first winter? No, sir. I'm a so 65 was like, woo, I need my Letterman jacket on for 65. But and I walked outside to that wind howling. It was -10. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to make it today. Sitting right back in that door.
That cold would change your life. It would change your life for sure.
Whew, man, it will. Ain't no doubt about it.
No, it's fun. My folks went to Iowa State back in the late 60s, early 70s. My folks, they watched all their games at Clyde Williams right there on the other side of Helzer, where there used to be a football stadium. So just for them to go back, I remember as a kid, my dad would take me to, at the time was Cyclone Stadium, now Jack Trice. Then he would take me over to where and I eventually stayed. I spent 3 semesters in Helzer, so I was overlooking Clyde Williams, but he was telling me about how there used to be football games back there, and it was as recently as the 70s, and it just kind of, shows how far from the 70s to the 90s, how far facilities came. I can imagine now the difference between, again, Brent, just from what you saw, what you played into, now having the South end zone bowled in, having new facilities, it's a completely different campus even from 15 years ago when you were there. I can imagine, George, for you coming back to letter winners events before your son came here, how different it all felt as well.
Oh yeah, it literally watching it grow from the time I left, and then I think there was probably at least maybe 8 to 9 years before I came back again. And then I started trying to get back on a regular basis. And then, of course, I started coaching. He was playing ball, so I couldn't get there. And then he got recruited. And it's like you come back, it's like, whoa, this place has really grown, you know. So it was a good thing to see.
Yeah, I think my last year we just got the indoor facility built. So I got, I think, the spring in it. And then I got to do some of the fall practicing and stuff. But, I mean, even me leaving, you know, moving around, coming back from Canada and going in there, it was like, damn, what is this? They got pictures of, they got a lot. I mean, it was all kind of stuff. So I was at the point, I was like, man, I need a tour every time I come back, because there's something else new that has happened or has changed since then. And it's mind-blowing how far we've come. And like I said, in just my 15 years, it's crazy just to look at all of it, man. They got their own everything. I mean, but that's a testament to the growth of the program, though.
Yeah.
You know?
And the new center that they're building is going to be phenomenal that they're putting on there now. So, you know, imagine what that's going to bring for them.
Oh yeah, I drove by there when we were up there for the game, and then I'm just looking at it like, wow, this is crazy. This is gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Well, I tell you one thing that you gentlemen both missed out on that Chris and I got to take full advantage of was Cyclone football tailgating as a college student, which I would argue is some of the best in the country, from what anyway I can piece together.
Remember.
But as you guys you guys go back down, you can actually kind of see that culture that exists outside of the stadium and all of that. You know, it was big back in the 90s. It was a big deal, I think, to have, you know, you're not going to get a bunch of farm kids together and not have barbecue going on in the lots and all of that. But man, it's become a whole kind of other entity, and I think that's one of those things that kind of adds to the culture too. Brent, you now kind of as a restaurateur, you can kind of see well, first of all, just the appetite of us Iowans, for sure.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I got to hop into the tailgate though after the fact. I was like, damn, so this is what was going on outside of the game. So you get to see, I get to see why they were so up and hyped and excited, you know, at those games. Because I was like, so what do we do? You know, I was so confused. But I mean, you see all those natty ices flying around, and natty lights or whatever. And this is bean bags and footballs being thrown around. I was like, this is not bad, but it is every week. So I mean, I fell in love with it. That's why I try to go back and catch me a game myself here and there, and try to make sure some of my Kalahis make the game. But I mean, I love it.
Were either of you guys at last year's game day atmosphere? Because that was probably the most craziest I've ever seen.
Yep, I was there.
I wasn't. I watched it.
Oh yeah, I was there. It was crazy. We were there from 6:30 in the morning. You know, hung out down there with my son for a while, then went back to his apartment, chilled out, and was up there for the game. So it was amazing. And just to think, we actually had a game day in Ames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, you never thought that was ever going to happen. You know, never. So
not at all.
Yeah, just a testimony of what the place has become. You know.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's fun. I tell you, that's one of the reasons we kind of wanted to have you guys on here, because, you know, again, I started off talking about, you know, my earliest memories being the Kreiner years, and that kind of hit some challenging points for the program. And Jim came in.
You mean like the multicolored helmets and the
that too.
Helmets for certain players. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that.
Hey, see that guy in the different colored helmet? He's our best player. Right?
Imagine Matt Campbell's head exploding if somebody came up and said, "Coach, we got this great idea.
Yeah,
we're gonna throw this special helmet on." Like, who doesn't know who Breece Hall is now, anyways? But still.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, unfortunately, some of the things that happened there put Jim kind of behind the 8 ball, right? And, you know, we were kind of playing, but you could see that we kept on making kind of another step. You know, we talked, George, about, you know, the Oklahoma and Nebraska wins and kind of how, it always seemed like Jim was winning a game he shouldn't have, right? Which was always kind of fun to see. And then Danny Mac comes in and he brings in Troy Davis, and oh my God, what a difference Troy Davis was to kind of raise the national exposure for the program, even though he totally got robbed. But just right,
got robbed twice.
Got robbed twice. Yeah, absolutely right. And to see the success that he had, I graduated college and I was sitting watching that the Insight Bowl against Pitt with my dad and Iowa State grad, and feeling like, man, he felt like, oh my God, it's been so long since we've been here, right? And then Brent, some of your teams, the two bowls your last 2 years?
My middle, so sophomore, junior year.
Yeah, right. And so
inside in Houston,
back-to-back bowl games. I don't know what that was growing up. So that that's kind of amazing to see, right? Yeah. And so and then each one is kind of then you have Paul Rhodes. I'm completely skipping over a coach as well, and then you have Matt Campbell. Like you've seen us.
I hate him, so it's fine. That's good. I'm with you. Let's get right on over him.
That's right.
Never happened. I do not have my commemorative coin. But you guys have kind of seen thin and thick in the program, so it's kind of fun to see how much the program has kind of progressed. But it lies in, and actually I think just there's a foundation that I think maybe doesn't get enough credit, honestly. Not that Matt doesn't deserve all the credit that he does for everything that he's done for the program, but man, you guys were kind of fundamental to laying a good foundation that could put us on a trajectory to get to this point. What are you guys seeing as letter winners still connected to the program? What's kind of the vibe that you get as you kind of orbit around all of this?
I mean, it's a huge culture change. Like I said, now George hit it on the head earlier. I mean, Campbell is now in those talks with those big schools. The Oklahoma, the Texas, the Florida, the Florida States. He's getting those guys that, I mean, 10, 15, 20 years, there was no doubt about it. We weren't even in question. It was 2- and 3-star guys at best, back then that you would get. But Campbell is, he's kind of changed that game. So you see a huge change in the culture. And I mean, it seems to be an attitude going forward. Because winning changes everything. So I feel like the more we win, the better these uniforms look. I mean, more likely we got to keep getting these good kids, good talent. So,
yeah, I mean, you gotta think, man. It has to help recruiting when Campbell walks into that living room, and the kid's getting recruited by Texas. Oh yeah, we beat them. He's getting recruited by Oklahoma. Oh yeah, we beat them too. So when he's walking in and the resume goes, yeah, we done popped off a lot of these guys. You can be part of this too. That is huge. You know what I'm saying? That it's those unseen intangibles, I guess. So that you keep stacking up these wins, you keep getting this program higher and higher. Like you said, now that 4 or 5-star going, yeah, maybe I don't have to go, way over here to Alabama or Georgia. Maybe I can come to Iowa State. Yes, you can, kid.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Well, I remember when he got hired, I was in an airport. It might have been a week after he was hired. I was in an airport, and one of his assistant coaches was there. It was the running back coach. Tony was his first name. His last name's escaping me. And I went over and I asked him, I said, are you one of the coach staff? He's like, yeah. I said, I just want to tell you guys how excited I am to have you guys here. I said, Coach Campbell looks amazing. And he said, I'm just going to tell you, that dude's a different cat. And that was all he said. He's like, he's a different breed. And I was like, that's all I want to know. Like, that's all, right? Like, and a couple years ago when he was, he threw out that line of bullshit programs go 6-6. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Saddle me up. I'm all over. I am 100% with this guy. That's the kind of attitude you got to have. To your point, George, you got to have some dogs, and I think he's got some dogs, and he's got some dog in him. He's got something to prove.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, fantastic, guys. We don't want to keep you a whole lot longer. Chris, did you have anything else you kind of wanted to shoot, I could talk to these guys all night, but is there anything else you wanted to get answered?
No, I think again, I just want to thank you guys a lot for coming on. I would love for Brent to give a shout out to his restaurant, and let's make sure that Brent, let's support Brent and a fellow Cyclone, especially in this time when restaurants are really struggling and getting hit hard, and they all need our support. And George, we're looking forward to a good basketball season, and let's hope we prove some people wrong, because I think there's a lot of doubters out there, and I think this team's got something. They just need some time to gel. But you guys, I'll let you guys take it home. Brent, let's give a shout out to your restaurant, and let's just thank you very much.
Yep.
As a fan, I was thrilled to be able to talk to you guys.
Appreciate it, man. I'm thankful you had me on. Glad to be on here with George too, and I mean, I've seen all this stuff around your son, and you are one of the more beloved parents I've ever seen.
I said 100 times I want to die. I want to die and come back like George Conditt with a cigar and some whiskey.
Man, for real, man. But my restaurant is Coach Scalacci, so if you guys are ever in the area, George, make sure you come on by, man.
Definitely.
Yeah. We've been up and moving for 3 years. We're trying to keep it going for 15, 20 more. So,
all right.
Oh, fantastic. George, you have anything else you kind of want to end us with?
Man, I'm just glad to be here, guys. I appreciate you having me on. And like Chris said, the basketball team is going to get it right. It's just going to take a little time to gel. Don't give up on them yet. It's kind of like, at the beginning of the football season. Yeah, we lost the first one, but look where we're at. So, give them time. This whole COVID situation has changed everything. They haven't had a chance to really go. They haven't had any scrimmages against anybody but themselves, if they've been able to do that. So it's going to take a minute. So just keep the faith. They'll be all right.
No, I appreciate that. Brent said earlier, loyal sons forever true, and I think that's something that I'm personally proud of as a Cyclone, and I can see that you guys are as well. It just makes me happy to know that we've got two great representatives for the program that continue to be great representatives for the program. And I'm just grateful for you guys. I'm grateful you guys came on, but I'm also grateful for what you continue to do, not just what you meant to Iowa State, but what you continue to mean to Iowa State. I think that's fantastic, and again, a testament to the culture that we have. So once again, this has been Old Man Strength, a podcast of the Tailgate Society. Please, guys, download, like, rate, subscribe. I don't know what else you do with the podcast or how it works on the interwebs. I'm an old man who doesn't understand how this works. But please go ahead and check out all the content at thetailgatesociety.com. We have a lot of great content creators, really excited about everything we have going on. And Chris, anything else?
Let's roll, boys. Let's go take the Big 12 championship.
Yes, sir.
Need that.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and with that, we will see you next time.
I don't want to get on the bandwagon. I'll burn that wagon down and join the band. Traveling troubadours, terrorizing street corners just to try to get some supper in our hands. Now I waited all my life to get this off my chest, scream bloody murder until someone understands that it ain't about the money, the drugs, or the women. I make this noise just because I can. And we'll all join in to that original sin.